With so much software available in the short-term rental industry these days, it's increasingly difficult to keep up to date with what's on the market and to determine whether it's a maybe or a must-have for you and your business. So meet one provider each week in a short interview, learning what they do and what they offer. So if you have around 15 minutes to spare, it could prove to be a very good investment to stick around. So let's see who and what is out there, one by one, with me, Deborah Larby, also known as the Guest Inspector.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Techsplained with the Guest Inspector. With technology booming and developing so quickly, sometimes we just can't keep up with what it all means and does, and the associated language. I'm sure you've heard of cryptocurrency, blockchain, AI, and artificial intelligence, and machine learning. But do you know what these are and what they do? Well, today we're going to have a lesson, and we're going to learn about one of them. Today, I'm chatting with Evan from JarvisML, and we're going to learn about the ML in the name. Hello, Evan. How are you?
Great, Deborah. I'm excited to dive deeper.
Yes, and thank you for joining me today. And yes, I'm looking forward to this lesson. So to start off with, in one sentence, what does JarvisML do?
We predict what guests want before they even have the thought.
Right. Okay, that's a very big call. So now we're going to just dive a bit deeper into this and find out what exactly is machine learning in layman's terms.
Exactly. So machine learning is a mathematical model where it's able to ingest infinite amount of data and it's able to spit out a decision within a split second. So the same way we both go on Amazon, where we look up, let's say the word tissue box, you'll see certain products, I'll see certain products based off of our affinities, our purchasing power, our preferences, and so will every other 100 million people who are on Amazon at any given second. And the only way to do that is with a machine learning engine that can parse all that data and spit it out at any given moment.
So with machine learning, it looks at all the data, no matter where you've been on the internet, it looks at where you've been, what you've liked, what you spent time on, and it will learn from that and design some, or give you something that is specific for you.
Exactly. So when everyone uses the internet, when they engage with marketing, there's footprints that are just left over the internet. So what the machine learning engine does is it ingests all those footprints, it draws meaningful connections, makes sense of it, and then it shows you, it cuts through the noise by showing you, hey, you're going to like this, not that.
Wow. I read it was the study of software algorithms that learn by themselves automatically using data, statistics, and experience. So this is something that you set and it just learns by itself. And also I heard something that if something changes, it will automatically update the data about you.
And that's the beauty of it, because you have a chance to predict what they want. And let's say they don't get it, the machine doesn't get it right on the first try. It learns from every single click and it improves. The machine learning engine is always awake, always learning, always improving. So every click, every interaction with the machine learning engine, it gets smarter, and eventually it'll know exactly what you want before you even have the thought.
Yeah. So obviously the more data it has, the more accurate the prediction is going to be, and it's also learning as it goes, obviously machine learning, so it just gets more and more accurate and adapts along the way. Okay, so I'm a property manager, I'm coming to JarvisML. How do I use JarvisML? What does it mean to me as a property manager?
Right. So first, I want to preface that with, we're not a PMS or CRM, and we don't require you to replace any existing infrastructure. The idea is to make this easy. So the way that any VRM's website works is you have the core systems, the infrastructure, the PMS, the CRM, things you don't want to touch because it's like moving mountains. And then at the top, you have the user interface, what the guests and what the web visitors engage with. We sit right in the middle with a line of code, and we're invisible to the guest. The idea is that anything that shows on your website flows through the bottom of the infrastructure, through the JarvisML line of code into the user interface. And the idea is that when every single visitor hits your website, that's the first chance at personalization that you have. So let's say it's a couple out in Oklahoma, a modest retired couple. It'll show them maybe apartments and things that will suit them, rather than a wealthy family from Beverly Hills. It'll show them maybe larger homes that can suit their family and so on. And the idea is just cuts through all the noise and predicts what you want in advance.
So what you're saying is that a property manager's website can look different to every guest that lands on it.
Right. So we don't want to change the design. We want to fit into whatever exists. So usually the template that we see is, okay, here's the booking information, and right under here are featured properties.
Yeah.
So what we would do is power those featured properties with personalized recommendations to any visitor on the website if they're anonymous, but how much more so if they're existing where you have their CRM and PMS data, then you can actually personalize much further.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. It'll look different to me versus a family when I land on the website in terms of the properties that are being shown to me. Right.
That's exactly it.
So just out of interest then, if there is someone landing on your website for the first time, can JarvisML check their previous footprints and already know them and show them the correct properties, even though they haven't been a guest already?
Yes, any given visitor has information, whether it's metadata, but even the most anonymous visitor has information. But the best part about machine learning is even if it's just a little information, it will learn and improve as the user engages with it.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. What is your unique selling point? I suppose you're like the first machine learning for vacation rentals.
We are. So the idea is that a lot of these principles are common in e-commerce, and VRMs need to start looking at their websites as an e-commerce operation. Yeah. And in order to become an advanced e-commerce operation, you have to add personalization across the sales funnel. So while we can power those website recommendations, we can also power individual emails. So an example, a marketing team builds the template and they have unique properties on the template. We can power the optimal time they're most likely to open it with the time of year they're likely to travel with unique properties tailored to their preferences at unique price points based off of their purchasing power and lifetime value, with even a unique promotion based on their loyalty. So the most personalized email to every single visitor, guest, or whoever it is. The idea is that no touch is generalized, every touch is personalized.
Okay, that's really powerful. Really powerful. Wow. Okay, look, I mean, these questions are all going to be a bit silly, but why use your product? Well, I mean, this is a pretty simple question, actually.
Yeah, and what I would say to that is where our team came from and how we're here now. And my team came from Google AI, where they founded and built the machine learning powering Google Ads and Google Payments. So it's fair to say they know how the internet works. And they're able to extract all that data, plug it into the engine, and then spit it out. And since they did it for big tech at Google, now how do we swing the pendulum back by empowering smaller VRMs, the smaller players, with the same machinery as the big players? And the idea is the VRMs have the same machine learning engine as the OTAs, they'll be able to drive direct bookings, cultivate their data, and more importantly, deploy their data to become tech-forward operations, just like the OTAs. And in long term, they'll be able to control their own destiny.
Wow. Okay. So basically you're saying that a smaller property management company can have access to the same kind of data or information or personalization as Amazon or Google or Booking.com, and we can have access to that as well.
Yeah, and it's very important to distinguish that when someone books your property through an OTA, at the end of the day, they're not your customer. They're the OTA's customer. They're Expedia's customer, Airbnb's customer. And what we're going to see going forward is exactly what we've seen in e-commerce, where the OTAs will continue to withhold data from the VRMs, which will in turn force them back to the table. So what we're doing is giving each VRM their own machine learning engine siloed to their business. So the engine can learn about their core competencies, their core customers, and that will empower their direct bookings so that they can create long-term value for all their customers and increase the lifetime value of each individual one rather than the one and dones.
Really, really powerful. This is like next level stuff for vacation rental managers.
It is. Yeah. And it's all from the idea of just treating vacation rentals like e-commerce, because instead of the package showing up at your door, the guest shows up at the vacation rentals door, but at the same time, we're booking it the same, we're paying it for the same way with the same widgets, clicking on the website. So we just got to look at it how it is.
Yeah. One of my usual questions is about white labeling. So I suppose with JarvisML, like you said, it's code sitting in your website. So no one sees anything. It's just ticking away in the background, learning and adjusting the personalization for every visitor that lands.
That's exactly it. We're totally invisible to every single guest. We are only visible to the back end where we can supply machine learning insights, showing what's happening, giving you ideas on where to improve, but to the customer side, totally invisible.
So when you say about the back end and improvements, so as a property manager, with JarvisML installed, do I have access to a dashboard? Do I see some sort of insights? Do I see trends? What can I see?
Absolutely. So the first thing we do when we talk to a VRM is we do a free data assessment, which we ingest their PMS and CRM data, which takes very quick, take less than a week. And then we give them access to a free data analytics dashboard. And what these insights show are very unique. And for example, a revenue forecast. The machine will look back at historical data and then look forward and say, if the business remains unchanged, here's what the forecast looks like. And as it ingests more data and it sits and it keeps learning, the scale will correct and it will improve over time. Another really unique one, which I like, is the anomalies and opportunity alerts. So March of 2020, you have everyone in New York City, everyone in Canada, COVID hits and it's ice cold. They all flock to Florida. The problem for the VRMs is that all the guests got excellent deals because the VRMs could not react fast enough. So what this would have shown is intent data. It would have shown that hey, this trend is happening. VRM, take action, be proactive, raise the price, don't be reactive. Another one, which I think is really cool, are pricing recommendations. So it looks back at historical data, learns everything about the business, and then looks forward and says, be proactive, raise this price 50% now and capitalize on this opportunity. And those are all free. Yeah.
Amazing. That's really great. So, okay, given that this is such a big thing, well, it sounds like a big, complicated thing. Who's your target audience? What's the ideal size company, number of properties? I mean, it'd be great if it was one property, but this sounds like a little bit, it might be too big for someone with just one property.
Right. So first I want to address that it's complicated because the idea is that JarvisML does the heavy lifting. Yeah. We will meet any team based on their sophistication. We work with teams of one marketing and we work with teams of 10 plus that have marketing and data analysts on their team. So no matter where you're at, the idea is that we want to do machine learning as a service, plug in place, seamless integration. We do the heavy lifting and we don't require replacing any of the core business tools. So with machine learning, it's important that the VRM has enough data. So with a VRM of, let's say, a couple dozen properties, it's likely that a human will do a better job than a machine because they understand the business philosophically, emotionally, so they'll be able to appeal better to the audience. But once you have, let's say, 100 properties, 20,000 plus emails and customers in the past, that's when we can start segmenting out your highest lifetime value customers. That's when the machine can work at scale and alleviate your team's workload so that it can do what humans do best, which is growing the business, finding inventory, and the emotional and philosophical questions, which they probably didn't have time to attack beforehand. So that's the idea. That's the ideal machine learning client.
As we mentioned earlier, it's about the more data you have, the more accurate you can be. So you're sort of more for 100 plus property companies. Yeah,
exactly.
And given that it is online, these 100 plus companies can be anywhere, right?
Yeah, right now we are primarily engaged with VRMs, several dozen in the United States. Our goal is to go globally. But in the United States, we seem to have it figured out. It's plug and place. We get up and running with the dashboard in a week, even less, especially for Streamline and Track, which we have many integrations with. But we hope to go global with it.
Excellent. Okay. Now, how much does it cost? Or is this going to be some sort of sliding scale thing? Or is there a set price?
Right. So the idea is when we do the demo with the VRM's data, what that will show us if an engagement is possible. And what we try to demonstrate is that we can prove that we'll create a lift of 10 times the cost of our service. So 10 times the ROI. If we can't prove that, we'll leave them the access to the dashboard and say, you know what, in 6 months, let's revisit. I'll give them some advice. Maybe I'll point them to some tools that cultivate data. And when we revisit, that's when we'll say, you know what, now you're ready for an engagement. But we will not enter an engagement if we can't demonstrate that we can prove 10 times the cost of our service. And all VRMs are different. Unfortunately, there's not a cookie cutter solution because some VRMs have 100, some have 3,000. So we really have to work with each VRM on how much consulting will there be, how much personalization do they want to deploy across the funnel? Because the truth is, there's endless possibilities with personalization solutions. You can personalize every step of the way. It's just a matter, what is the appetite for the VRM?
Yeah. Wow. Now, I've come to the end of my questions. I was going to ask about a contract, but I'm assuming that there would have to be a contract for something this big. There would have to be a contract. So that's correct, right?
That's an awesome question. So I want to distinguish JarvisML from the OTAs, because what the OTAs do is they do all of this for you. You go on the OTA's website, like Expedia or Airbnb, they bring the customer, they deal with everything in between, and they make it seamless, which is why customers go to OTAs. The problem is that they keep your data, because data is the future. So what we do, the first thing we do when we enter this free data assessment is we give an NDA that favors the VRMs, because we want the VRMs to keep their data. We are not a data warehouse. We are just a machine learning tool that allows them to cultivate and deploy their data. So the NDA protects the VRM and says, no matter what, the data is yours. So that is how we move forward. Put that loud and clear right up front, full transparency that we are here to help them cultivate and deploy their data.
Wow. So, but there is a contract, like if they take your code on board and they start using it, they have to have it for, minimum month, a year, something like that. They have to lock in. I mean,
exactly.
Their benefit, because the longer they have it running, the more accurate it's going to be. But is there some sort of minimum?
Exactly. It definitely takes a solid 2 weeks for the machine to really catch the scale and the core competencies of the business. And we're a traditional SaaS business, software as a service. So we are, after a pilot period of X amount of time, we are looking for those 1 to 2 year contracts and commitments.
Yeah. Well, that's when you're going to get the most out of something, giving it some time, especially like this. Look, that I've come to the end of my questions, but I know that there's probably a lot more that we haven't covered. Is there something else that you want to include?
Yeah, and I'm looking at more of a macro level as to where we are as a whole, in the VRM industry. And we have a unique opportunity because pre-COVID, around 30% of traveling Americans stayed in vacation rentals. Post-COVID, that number's above 80%. We've taken a major market share from the hotel industry. Now, how do we secure it? Because the hotel industry is organized, they have lobbies, they're going after local governments to outlaw vacation rentals. So how does the vacation rental industry level up professionally and also technologically? So that's what my goal is here. And the idea that I want to promote, and that the messaging that I've been spreading, is that JarvisML is making predictive hospitality a reality. So how do we predict what the guests want in advance? And instead of them going to the OTAs, how do we make sure that they go right to the direct websites, direct bookings, and create brand loyalty using machine learning, so that going forward, we have direct repeat bookings, we extend the lifetime value of each customer, and we work one-on-one, no more middlemen. And the idea is that if we keep going to the OTAs where they have our data, we're not going to be able to be an autonomous industry. It's going to be an OTA industry. So we're trying to swing that pendulum back, make predictive hospitality a reality for individual VRMs rather than being forced to go to OTAs. So that's the goal. And fortunately, we've had incredible results. We actually ran an A/B test against Salesforce's AI solution. And these are all prediction engines. How do you predict what people want in advance? And we blew them out of the water. Because Salesforce, of course, they know what they're doing. They're a conglomerate, they're a multi-$100 billion company, but they are not listening to VRMs like JarvisML. JarvisML and we're taking the time to listen to the pain points of VRMs, craft solutions around them, tailor ideas, and work with them to make machine learning a possibility for every single vacation rental company. So we have proof in the pudding. We've won a bake-off, and we're doing several other bake-offs with pricing engines. But one more idea, and then I'll pass the mic back to you, is that another possibility with machine learning is that we can do personalized pricing and promotions to every single guest. So we can segment out the highest lifetime value guests, which in turn shows you the most loyal ones, the ones with higher purchasing power, and you can give them the first shot at premier properties. You can give them the first shot at maybe some discounts and promotions. And the idea is that every single guest will have a personalized experience from booking to checkout. And the goal is to start powering some other ideas, like let's say suggestions and recommendations for maybe restaurants and recommendations for tee times of golf. So we can recommend much more than just pricing and properties. Now it's about bringing the experiences in it and yeah, just making the whole vacation a seamless upfront for every single guest. And it's pretty amazing. So I'm sure we'll continue that side of things. That's a little early, but that's the goal and that's the trajectory where we're heading.
Yeah. While you were talking just now, earlier on, I was going to say that it has become all about the guest experience. And I'm a guest a lot. And I know the headache of having to go and search for accommodation. And the idea of landing on a website and only being shown properties that suit what I want is going to cut through. It's going to save me a lot of time, and it's going to feel good as a guest. So I think that will be an outstanding thing to have on your website in terms of guest experience. So yeah, we're looking at it as a guest. That's a very, very good thing to offer them. Yeah.
Yeah. And to add to that, a lot of these VRMs, what they're doing is they're destinations. So maybe they'll have a lot of properties near a ski mountain, and then they'll have a lot of properties near a beach. So when a guest lands on your website, you can show them, if they're looking for beach properties, it's likely that we can pick up their digital footprints and show them all the beach properties rather than sifting through everything. And another very common way that we see guests utilizing websites is they go and they search all rentals. We can actually rank order every single rental on that list based off of their preferences, purchasing power, and so on. So it's the top option is the most likely, they're the ones they're most likely to choose. And then as you go down, it's less likely. So again, personalization is possible in every single way. And it's pretty remarkable where we're at, and giving these Google grade possibilities to the smaller VRMs so that they can control their own destiny.
Incredible, incredible. I was going to ask you about how iPhone and whoever else listens in. And I wonder if you pick up on that information too, because, you know, if someone says, oh, darling, let's go skiing next week or whatever, and then they land on a website and they just got shown the ski chalets. But I suppose you're not easing in yet, are you? Eavesdropping. No,
that's not our goal. Though I find those very invasive. Everyone has Alexas. We don't do that. We just do whatever available data we have. But we also like to mine every VRM's existing gold, because a lot of the times these VRMs don't even realize what data they're cultivating. So it's up to us to ingest it all, organize it, and find meaningful connections within it.
Yeah, amazing. It's really great. Okay, look, we've come to the end of the interview. If there's anything more you want to add before we wind up?
Yeah, and I'm looking to talk to anyone who's engineering unique solutions for their website and wants to level up and make their own website in OTA. Because right now, if you look at Booking.com, Expedia, they're tech companies. And unfortunately, I talked to many vacation rental managers, and they hide behind this tech overload excuse. And I get it. It's real. I'm not denying that tech overload is a thing, because it absolutely is. But unfortunately, we can't use that as an excuse, because these OTAs are taking advantage of it. They're capitalizing on the VRM chaos. And going forward, we need to make VRMs tech forward. We have to run towards the data. And that's the message I want to get across, is don't be scared of your data. Talk to me and I'll simplify it, and we'll make sense of it all.
Yep, harness that data. Yes. Well, if anyone has any questions for Evan, pop them in the comments below. I hope there are some questions about this one. This is a good topic. I like it. And I will pop a link for JarvisML below, as well as the guest inspector. Now, Evan, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for explaining that. That was really, really great.
Absolutely. And I'll share a presentation with you so that any VRM, any person who's interested can look through the presentation. It's very self-explainable, and then just reach out and we'll dive deeper. Yep.
I'll put a copy of that deck in the description as well. Great idea. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Evan. Thank you very much for your time. It was great chatting.
Awesome, Deborah.
Okay. Bye.